Yo, what's up, children of Earth? Welcome to another episode of Five Deep, a episode of podcasting in the world where we all get together each week, 5 of us, to achieve our goals through accountability. Thank you very much at home for watching us live on YouTube. If you're here with us now, don't forget to jump in and leave a comment, ask us a question, fire away. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That's what these YouTubers say in 2022 these days, isn't it? And if you're listening to us on the podcast, if you're catching up, like, share, and subscribe as well. So, how are we all doing, people?
Awesome.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Lee, you got your wife beater vest on there. Have you just beat the missus up, or what's going on over there, bro?
This is an LA Lakers top.
I love it.
Who are they?
Number 8, Bryant.
Who are they?
Is that?
Who the fuck are you?
Never heard of them. Sorry.
God, you are so fired already at the top of the show.
I have an unhealthy obsession of collecting basketball jerseys. I've got I think it's the 1996 national team jersey. It takes pride of place in my wardrobe.
Is basketball, is that similar to netball in the UK?
What? I can't even handle you right now. It's Monday.
Have you ever played netball before, Harmony?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No?
Mm-mm.
Lose.
What's netball? Does anybody else know?
Lee, what's the difference between netball and basketball?
I don't understand most of what Mark says.
It's basketball without the ability to move, isn't it?
It's a sport that females primarily play, isn't it? So it's never going to be as equal par.
Careful.
You're canceled. We're not even 3 minutes in. You're canceled already.
Only jesting, people. Only jesting. Anyway, well, thank you very much for joining us once again. We're going to be talking about making big money moves in a second, and we're going to be answering a question that Lee finished off last week's episode, and I'm really, really looking forward to answer this question because, hand on heart, I have not got a clue how I'm going to answer it. And I'm looking forward to you guys to just kick the shit out of me on this episode. And I think Rodney said this morning that he was pretty much feeling exactly the same. So it's going to be an interesting episode. I'd like to just go around the room quickly a minute, starting off with you, Lee, right? I want you to tell the world, give the world an interesting fact about yourself.
Jesus Christ, man. An interesting fact about myself. I guess you guys know is what I believe is, you know me very well. But an interesting fact about myself is that, I mean, I'm kind of going to answer, but I think it's kind of boring. I had long-term depression for like 20 years. And I got myself out of it.
That's not boring at all. That's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I got myself out of it by developing a sense of self and using mindset to get over the whole thing. I mean, I'm trying to answer it as best I can. You've really put me under the fucking spotlight there. But yeah, that's my fact. I suffered with 20 years with depression and I changed my mindset to get me out of it. No medication. I mean, I was on medication for a couple of months, but I was like, this is not the answer.
What was the key point then when you thought to yourself, do you know what, something's not right here?
I was watching I Am Not Your Guru, Tony Robbins, and he was talking to a mother and daughter, and he said one line to the daughter about her father, and there was something in that sentence that just like, it was like a revelation, and I have no shame in saying it. I burst into tears and cried for about 5 days because I knew the problem. I realized I had to solve it. I was carrying around this victim mentality, woe is me, and I was like, you fucking idiot. Your life right now is the consequences of every decision you've ever made. You're responsible for the position you're in right now, and ultimately you and only you can change it. And it was just like, you know, the sun shone and the clouds went, and, you know, it was just, my vision was crystal clear.
And how do you feel today?
Fucking unstoppable.
I knew that was coming. Super proud of you, mate. Super proud of you. I don't really know how to ask this, and I'm going to hold back here a little bit because I don't know what's going to come. But Harmony, give us an interesting fact about yourself.
I used to hate myself for a long time. For like, I bought into so many beliefs that weren't true about myself. And every choice that I made was a result of that belief system. So there was moments where the sunlight shone through and I showed up for myself, obviously, or I wouldn't be sitting here right now. But I just didn't feel worthy of any kindness from other people. I didn't feel worthy of a healthy romantic relationship. I didn't feel worthy of joy. And I think it's interesting, just kind of riding off the topic that Lee started with, because nobody would have ever known. If anybody knew me, they would have never been able to guess that that's how I was feeling. And I think so. Not only was I feeling that way, but I was doing it intentionally, like under the radar, because I was so petrified that people were going to feel sorry for me. And I think that if people going back to when I was in middle school, high school, heard me say that, they would be shocked, because I hid it really well. But I just dealt with all my shit by myself.
Wow. It wasn't what I was expecting to hear from you. I was thought that there might have been a sexual orientation come when asking.
Oh, well, there's that too. How much time we got? This isn't my show.
He was hoping for some.
Yeah, I've been with a couple women. What's about it?
If I'm not going to get this from Harmony, right? If I'm not going to get any sexual content from Harmony, I think it's time to head over to Rodney there. Rodney, tell us an interesting fact about yourself.
You're talking like I'm some kind of sexual fiend or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly that.
Despite the
Pervert.
fact that I'm 6'3" and I'm like 270 pounds and I look like I'm tough, I'm a big teddy bear, and I just want to be loved. So could I get some love, please?
Oh, there's a
There's an air hug.
I was a bit concerned then, because what I was
get love from me, man.
I thought what you was going to say is, even though you're 6'3" and you're a big guy, you've got little tiny feet. That's what I thought you was going to say. Little tiny kids' feet.
Again, that's you hoping.
Yeah, I'm a 7.
Little tiny feet. Anyway.
I thought you were going to say little tiny balls.
Yeah. No, he's got big balls, like snooker balls. He sent a picture on Voxer once, Harmony, when you wasn't there.
Damn, I missed it.
Big balls, bollocks. But here we go now. Here we go.
This is where it's going to go fucking south.
Tell us an interesting fact, Howard, about yourself.
I thought this show was about money or some shit.
It is. We're trying to make some. So, Howard, tell us an interesting fact about yourself.
He's got an OnlyFans.
Well, I do have an OnlyFans. I actually have to pay to be on OnlyFans because nobody wants to see. But you get love from me, Rodney. I love you, man. I love you, bro. Interesting fact about me. When I think I was 3 years old, I was actually crowned the Grand Duke of Dallas. It was kind of like a pageant for kids. I do have a picture somewhere of me in my little cape. My brothers made me a little cape, and I have like a little crown on my head and stuff like that.
Are you serious?
Serious? Yeah.
Did you have to like sashay
cool.
down a walkway or anything like that? Like, what was the
do
talent?
not remember. I don't remember. I have to ask my mom. You know, I was the Grand Duke, and then there was like the Queen and the King and everything, but I was the Grand Duke.
Yeah, we need to see this photo.
That sounds awesome.
I'll see if I can find it. I think I got one around here somewhere.
Post it on Instagram. Tag me in it.
Well, for me, right, I've got a couple actually. One of them was that I went to Butlins as a child and ended up riding a donkey and winning the donkey derby competition. Right. And the second
First of all, what is Butlins? You got to explain for people who know.
Oh.
Right. How do we
describe what it sounds like?
Is it like a zoo?
No, it's a holiday camp, which is like a zoo because it's that shit.
It's a budget Disney.
Yeah, it's like a budget Disney with donkeys that you ride. And I rode the donkey and got the Donkey Derby Championship. But I think I need to tell the world about back in the days. I done a few naughty drugs, and as a result, I split up with my ex-girlfriend, and I went on a bit of a bender. Not as in, I'm talking about like on a female
You went on a
bender
bender.
kind of thing. Yeah, I didn't wake up with a bender.
Oh,
Mm.
you were banging a bunch of chicks.
Yeah, banging a bunch of chicks,
Okay.
and two of the girls, the hair started falling out. Now I don't know why this
Wait,
is.
their pubic hair or their regular hair?
The hair on the head. I had
Okay.
sex with girls, and the hair started falling out. So I had
Okay, so many
No.
jokes, so little time.
Mark, blow up dolls don't count, Mark.
No. So I had a nickname, and the nickname was called Chemocock.
Oh my god,
Fuck's
you're
sake.
so going to hell.
Sounds like you need the cape more than I needed the cape.
It sounded, you know how he was waiting for all this freaky sexual shit. He just wanted to get his shit off. That's what that was. He wanted
That's what it
opportunity.
was.
So whenever you see a bald-headed lady, they're very, very pretty. When you see them,
Know that
know.
you slept with her.
look, yeah. Anyway, carry on. Last week, Lee ended up the podcast with a very interesting question. What was the question that you asked us last week, there, Lee?
The question was, what could you do today that you've never done before that would change your life forever?
Right. So that was the question that was asked. Would anybody like to volunteer to go first? Oh, crikey, I'm surprised.
Ooh.
First hand up there was Rodders. So Rodney, you can go first. Go you head.
So I didn't think about it like all week, and then you guys reminded me this morning, and I remember that because I watch like Joe Rogan and I watch Mike Tyson, and you guys had mentioned it too a couple of weeks back, that they have those camps where you can go away for a week with the ayahuasca, and you get like out of your mind, and a lot of people come away with revelation or just a different perspective on life. So I think something like that, because I think I've never done any kind of hallucinogenic drugs. So I think that would change my mind. See that spirit world and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah. Have you ever done any acid or anything before then, Rodney?
Nah, just like weed, little powder, little this, little that, but no, nothing. Nothing like that hallucinogenic. That where and you was getting high with your friends, so it wasn't like an experience like that. It was just some guys sitting around getting high, looking to get into some trouble. I think the whole ayahuasca experience is what I'm talking about.
Well, I'll let you into a little secret, right? This is just between us five here now, because I know nobody else in the world is really watching, right? Oh, we've got a little thing going on in the UK on Thursday. It's some I don't agree with it. Lee doesn't agree with it. It's blown out of proportion. It's a Jubilee Day, right, where we're celebrating the Queen. She's a lovely lady and all everything. Good evening, Mom, if you're watching and all. You're giving me a day off. But I'm going down the caravan with my mate Kenny. And Kenny is making some edibles. So it's going to be the first time since 2013. So watch this space. Instagram could be full on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. So I'm really looking forward to that. And has anybody done any edibles before?
No. And the other thing is too, I just want to make a caveat. This is after I'm done working. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, not while you're patrolling.
Not why I have to be gainfully employed. No, I don't want to be out of my mind.
She's a lizard, says Lou.
No, have you've done edibles before, Harmony, haven't you? Do you get a trippy effect at all from that? You're all quiet. You've muted yourself.
Edibles are such a blanket statement. I guess it would depend on what kind of edibles. Like what are you and Kenny gonna do?
Well, he's just getting some weed and he's making them into some sort of I think he said he was making them into some cakes or he's getting some buttermilk and he's making it and all that. What he's doing is he's getting the stalks, the stems that you normally throw away, and what he does is he all grinds it all down and he mixes it with some sort of butter or something, and he makes it into some cakes, and he says it's just a nice mellow, not too over the top, but just a nice little hit. So Yeah. So
I've eaten brownies before, but I didn't really like them because it's not an immediate hit. It takes a good 30 minutes at least for it to kick in. And then when it does, it feels very like you're just chill. And when I'm partying, I don't want to be chill. When I'm partying, I want to be up. And a lot of people want to chill and relax and be down. I like to be dancing and having fun and talking. And so edibles weren't really ever my thing.
Yeah, but that's not what you would normally do with smoking weed anyway, is it? Because I mean, the thing, I was listening to somebody talking about it the other day, and they were talking about how when you smoke weed, it gives you a different effect to what it does when you eat it, because it goes and Howard might know more about this. Apparently, it goes straight into your liver, and it gives you a different effect to what it would if you were smoking it. And when it goes into your liver, then it gives you more of a trippy sort of trippy experience. Am I right? Does anybody know any? Can anybody vouch for that?
It depends on what kind of strain. Are you doing indica? Are you doing sativa? Like there's so many different strains of marijuana that there's some strains of marijuana that will bring you up like you just did a line of coke, and there's some strains that will make you feel like you just injected some heroin and you're going to be chill. So I guess it would just depend on so many different factors. How you ingest it obviously is one of them, because Rogan's talked about it before, but also what strain and how much, and all those things. Like if you do a hit off of a water bong, have you ever done a water bong? You're going to be pretty lit for quite a while. It's a little bit different than smoking a bowl. I mean, it's such
hot pipes, bagpipes, the lot we used to do years and years ago. Hot knives, bagpipes, waterfalls.
Yeah, pop was never my thing.
No. Well, I used to love it, but so it's going to be like a little. I'm doing it in as respect for Mom for Jubilee Day
celebration. I love it. I bet she would understand.
So where are we going then? So I think that's really cool. That's an answer that actually I was in my van there thinking how am I going to go on answer this question? And that was one of the things that I thought there, to be honest with you, Rod. He was going away and doing an ayahuasca retreat and something like that. That was what I thought, to be honest with you. It sounds pretty awesome, doesn't it?
I don't know how awesome it sounds, but I just
it would be life-changing. I mean, do they have what are the laws in Connecticut, Rodney, about doing medical, like where you're guided by a doctor, where you go in, they microdose you, they sit there with you the entire time, and they do talk therapy with you to some degree or another. Is that legal in Connecticut?
I will have to look that up. I've never, cause like, to be honest with you, drugs are not even on my radar on any level.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't even even when they're like trying to, even when they're decriminalizing certain amounts, I only know because of, the job that I do, that certain amounts are, not worth.
You don't have to be on drugs looking at Rodney's screen. It's like you're on ayahuasca looking at him.
I'm getting you started early. So where you say you're going to? You're going to Buttland or whatever? What are you going to be doing?
Buttland.
No.
you and Kenny going to
Buttland.
You and Kenny going to Buttland this weekend, you said?
Yeah, we are. I cannot wait, mate. It's going to be an awesome time to celebrate Mom's birthday.
I cannot wait.
Listen, Kenny's going to give you some edibles and take you to Buttland. You might want to, reassure y'all friendship before y'all get down there to make sure that.
Yeah, if Kenny shows up next week bald, something's going on.
Well done, Harm.
I didn't think of this. Anyway, Harmony, what about you then? So I'm looking forward to this answer. What would you do tomorrow that could change your life forever?
I want to move. I mean, I literally am hitting to the point like where I could put a map up on the wall and throw a dart at it and just move wherever the dart lands.
But haven't you done that before?
I mean, I've moved, but I moved here in November of 99. So it's been a while.
Yeah, but the question was, what would you do tomorrow that you've never done before that could change your life forever?
Well, I've never thrown a dart at a map and just kind of decided to go wherever the dart landed. But
can I just
go on, Lee, go on. Butt in here, mate.
I know for definite that Harmony wouldn't just randomly throw a dart. She would actually carry it over to South Wales in an area of farmland, right, where she knows there's going to be some rugged fucking motherfuckers, right, with 19-inch knobs and big beards. That's what she's going to do.
Yes. So there's a Facebook group that I'm a part of. It's called Walking in Wales. And somebody posted a really beautiful, I mean, you can imagine the photos that come up there. It's just so stunning there. And I actually put that I love it there so much that somebody introduced me to a handsome Welshman so he can propose to me and I can move to the UK. You won't believe the engagement I got off that post.
I was going to say they'd love you in Wales,
because
Harmony.
I wrote it down at the bottom. I was like, I'm not even kidding a little bit. So maybe the perfect Welshman will see that and he'll message me on Facebook.
What you'd have to do
Wales.
though, what you'd have to do is you would have to go for an 80s haircut. You know, the old crinkle haircut?
Is that in style in Wales?
Yeah, because it makes you look more like a sheep.
They love, right? There's more sheep than people over there, correct?
The Welshmen do like sheep. It is known that they like to.
Yeah, you know.
Hey, Lou, keep your eyes peeled for a hot Welshman. I'm not even kidding. I'll send you some of my business cards. Just refer them to my Instagram. I mean, I'm not even remotely kidding. I'm seriously.
Right, we're on a hunt for Harmony. If there's any Welshmen watching here now, that
Lee goes over there for work. Keep your eyes peeled, Lee.
It's
Well,
quite close to you, isn't
Welsh
it?
fisherman, but he was a little bit rotund and a little bit grumpy. So I was like, yeah, probably not. But
Feel
I
free
will
to, if you
introduce
see
you.
any that have potential, give them my Instagram handle.
Yeah,
Seriously, I'm not even kidding. Not even
I know,
a tiny
I know.
bit.
So
tell them that. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
let them know if they any of the men is interested. They gotta be almost nude with a piece of avocado toast covering their most intimate of areas.
Ooh, that sounds like a party in
Yeah.
Wales, right, Lou?
So send your pictures. The pictures have to be like that. I'm just saying.
might even audition for it myself.
And
It
it
sounds
has
quite
to be Texas toast size, like big size bread, not little
Well,
tiny.
let's hope it's big bread, not a crouton.
Anyway, before Harmony lowers the tone, so you're basically saying then that you would basically you want to move abroad. Is that what you're trying to say? Then that would be.
I
something
will.
you could
I
do.
would love to move abroad. That would be amazing. And the easiest way to do that is either go to college or find somebody to marry you. And it's that, or to have a trade, because they do hire. They will give people citizenship if they've got a proper trade. I've looked into all of it. So if you're an IT, if you are an ambulance worker, like they'll sponsor you and have you come over and live in the UK, without having to go through so much rigmarole. But in all fairness, I think I'm just at a stage in my life where I'm ready to shake shit up a little bit. And I feel like the more and more I wake up every morning, I feel like this kind of exponential courage that's washed over me. And I think it's because I'm getting older and I can kind of see the finish line. When you get to be, I'll be 47 in October. When you get to be that age, you start to realize, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm feeling a little bit of a fire under my butt to make up for lost time and accomplish some things that are really going to be meaningful when I leave this planet.
So you think that we've all leveled up a little bit over the last month? We've all done so much more, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about you then, Lee? What would you do? Answering your own question there, what would you do tomorrow that you've never done before that would change your life forever?
I'm a sponge for information, and I try and get as much information as I can, and I do it to such an extent where I can't even regurgitate the information I've learned. I make a fucking hash out of it. I try and talk to you guys on Voxer and fuck it up, but it's all in here. It's just getting it out here. This is the problem. So what I would do, given the opportunity, and I'm not waiting for it to occur, I'm actually actively seeking this out. It's kind of twofold. Is I want to take psilocybin because, as I understand it, it's almost a spiritual experience that expands your mind and gets your neuros, what is it called, neuro connections firing, and you get this sort of out of this world experience, and you come up with these ideas, and you can absorb more information and communicate on a higher level. On top of that, I do want to investigate microdosing with psilocybin as well, because that's kind of like the same thing, but it's more of a cumulative effect, and it has you get like a long result over a expanded period of time. So that would be my little thing.
Well, just putting it out there to you in a minute now, right? I mean, what are you doing Thursday? Because there could be an extra seat to come to Buttlands with me and Kenny if you fancy to start off that way, mate.
Yeah, I would do. I would do if I didn't have this fucking bullshit going on upstairs.
I'm intrigued with what Lou has just said. Lee, I'm microdosing on it at the Mo.
Are you really, Lou?
Ooh, see, that's my thing. I would look at I've tried to find where the hell can I get it, and I found this one website, but it's like in Sweden, and then it's going to cost me just as much to buy it as it is to ship it. And I'm like, fucking hell, this is not working.
Well, you've got Lou as a contact now.
Yeah, I'm gonna get onto you, Lou.
All round Lou's house at the weekend, do a bit of microdosing. What about you, Howard? What do you fancy doing tomorrow that you've never done before? And Lou has sourced some. There we are. Go on, go you head.
Well, it's not it's really it's something I have done before, but very intermittently. I've had good results when I did it. And that was just trying to think of the best way to say it, like bet more on myself. Every time that I've went like all in on something, then, you know, I succeeded. I talked before about how I was a horrible student in up to eighth grade. I mean, a horrible student. I was like bottom of the class. And then when I just went all in, I ended up graduating with honors, like in the top 5% of the class. And the same with college. I was horrible college student. And then eventually when I finally finished college, I was on the president's scholars list and all that stuff like that. But that's involves going just all in with that. And so I would say it would change my life if I did that more often with something that I'm going after, going after the supplement company, fitness, anything, like just going all in on it.
What's the point where you're like, I'm going all in? What happened in those circumstances to make you go, okay, I gotta shit or get off the pot?
This ties in perfectly to tonight's subject, by the way.
Yeah.
It was, for me, it was external factors. So I'll give you a couple of examples. One example was when I was in the hospital in beginning of 2009. And I remember the doctors, because I was seen by an endocrinologist, a gastroenterologist, cardiologist, just multiple doctors. They were trying to figure out what it was. And I remember the doctors telling me, like, more than likely you will not make it out of here alive. And then I was at that moment, I was like, like when I went to the hospital, I was very ambivalent. I was kind of like, well, if I die, I die. Who cares? But then when you're face on with that, like the doctor saying, you will probably not make it out of here alive. You're lucky if you get out of here. Then it was like, holy shit. And then when the doctor says, well, actually it looks like you're getting better. You may be able to go. Then I was like, okay, this is time to step it up. It's basically, I think it's kind of what they talk about when you're kind of like at that lowest point. And then that's when you kind of realize, like, okay, I need to do something about it. That was one. And, geez, now I forgot the other one. So I guess I'll just stick with one. But it was external. It was like external factors. Oh, I remember. It was when in eighth grade, and I remember the guidance counselor, and this kind of goes into my whole rant on college, but I remember the guidance counselor came to our class, Mrs. Hoke. That was the name of our earth science teacher. And I sat by the door. I remember that, right next to the door. And the guidance counselor came in. I remember her saying, next year in ninth grade, the colleges are going to start looking at your grades. Like, they're going to really focus on what you want to do. And it was always pushed to me by my parents there. You got to go to college. You got to go to college. So I had this in my mind, like, okay, I need to go to college. And so I said, okay, now, Howard, it's now or never. You need to step it up if you want to have a chance to go to college, which by the time I graduated, I really didn't care to go to college. But those are just a couple of examples. But it was always something like external that happened that kind of, it forced me. It forced me into that. It's either like the first example, you either change or you're dead. That's it.
Yeah.
Sink or swim.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Great one. Great one. Well, I mean, this ties on to me now. And I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I have really, really struggled with this question, Lee, to be honest with you. It wasn't an easy question. And I was thinking today. And like I said just a minute ago, the thing that Rodney said there, what did you want to say there, Lee?
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to get it in there. I have a habit of asking this question wherever I go. So if I go to Dunkin' Donuts, the drive-through, and they give me my donut and the coffee in the morning, I always ask it, and people look at me a little bit weird, but they go, "Huh, never been asked."
It's a great question.
There's this fucking weirdo that drives around in a van asking this question now.
If I was at the donut place, it would be, I want to try that different flavored donut. I've never had it before. That maybe changed my life forever.
I mean, I've been thinking about it, on and off all week. And this morning I did think of that, the ayahuasca, going away and doing some ayahuasca. But the truth of the matter is that I cannot, and I'm waiting for you now to all just go all guns blazing at me. I cannot think of something that I would like to do tomorrow that would change my life forever. I've always wanted to go traveling. That's one thing that I never done as a child. And Nikki, she worked on the QE2 and she done a lot of traveling and stuff like that. So she's been there and done that. And I haven't done that. So I would like to be in a situation where I'm financially able to just say, right, fuck it, I'm going away, and then just go and just see where we went. And the difference is I would quite happily go backpacking, but Nikki's not into backpacking. She likes the hotels and all that sort of thing. So there would have to be some sort of compromise. But
I would, if you were going to do that and you really wanted to make big moves and change your life, I wouldn't go with anybody.
Yeah,
no,
I was just going to say,
you're better off going by yourself.
I was just going to say, it seems you're allowing external forces to influence your decision. Don't worry about external forces. It's all about you.
Yeah, because if I wanted to go backpacking, and Nikki wanted to go, in a hotel, it kind of takes the experience away, doesn't it? So it doesn't have to be a long time, but, even if it was like a couple of months, just go away and just, bam, off you go and just see where it ends up. Flip the coin. Shall I stay here? Shall I go? I think that'll be a pretty cool thing that I think it would, any of us that would do it, would change our lives completely. If any of you, did you go traveling when you was a kid? I mean, lots of people here in the UK, when they finished school, they would go off traveling for 6 months around the world. Has anybody done that at all, Howard?
This was actually one of my answers. I had a few answers. One of them was I wanted to live in another country. I've always been in the United States, and I think I would have benefited by seeing other cultures and experiencing other.
Why past tense? Why past tense? You said,
well,
I
I'm talking
benefited.
about, yeah, in the past, I would have benefited.
We're talking about tomorrow, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So you could still make a decision to go live in another country.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm talking about the past tense. I think it would have benefited me now. But in terms of other countries, I've only been to Mexico. So which is still fun. It was still fun.
Are you also looking for a Welsh gentleman, Howard?
It's tempting, especially the idea about the sheep, but no.
Tidy di gwely dwi isio ffocio'ch di cosian.
Tidy, innit?
I have no clue what you're saying.
I know somebody that is single, that is Welsh, and he's got a beard.
Your friend you sent.
Tom Jones.
Tom Jones. Hey, no jokes aside, you want to hear a killer interview on WTF with Mark Maron? He interviewed Tom Jones.
He's a legend.
Fantastic interview.
I saw him a couple of years ago, and the guy's in his 80s, and
he's
to
amazing.
Get up on stage and do what he does is absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to chuck it out to the audience here, the people that's watching us here now. What, just put a little comment in there. What would you like to? What could you do tomorrow that you've never done before that would change your life forever? It was a great question, Lee. Absolutely amazing question. And I'm looking forward to hearing the answers from all the people.
The kicker is to try and we're so wired to be a loyal and attached to the people that are around us.
Yes.
I think that's the big kicker. I would go as far as to say that would be the number one reason why most people don't chase their dreams, regardless of what they are. It's because of what somebody else is going to think.
Yeah.
It's I'm abandoning somebody. It's, and so then you look back and you're like, damn, it actually would not been that big of a deal if I would have done it. If I just needed to sit down and have a conversation with some people and say, look, these are my priorities. But I think we are so petrified that we're going to look selfish or, or be selfish even, that we don't pull the trigger on 99% of the things that we want to do as people. So we wait for that opportunity where we might be single or the kids are grown and at college. And then, what if that day never comes?
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Damn straight, Lee.
Yeah.
Really, it is. And the ideal situation is to have somebody that to match up with somebody, which is the hardest part, that has their own set of dreams and they value their own set of dreams so passionately that you don't have to convince them as to the whys. They're not going to automatically assume, oh, you want to go travel around Europe? What are you going to do? Fun, bang a bunch of chicks? They simplify it into such low blow bullshit that doesn't have anything to do with it, because that's their bullshit that they're projecting onto you, their jealousy, their insecurity, their discomfort with their own fucking identity, that it can't just be about you seeking out a higher state of consciousness, sober or not. So I think I think my major point of contention is people who don't have a self-identity fucking it up for the people who either do have it or trying to get it. Right?
So I
100%.
think then, to round it off here, we've all agreed that all of us would like to travel the world, get off our tits, and shag sheep.
Damn straight, man.
Yeah.
By sheep, you mean hot Welshmen? Let's do it.
Not the sheep. No.
I don't know if that's quite where I was going with mine, but
Maybe
So
for you, Mark, but not for us.
You've
Not for
committed
us.
yourself now. You've committed yourself. Lou's put something there a minute. She says, stay in the energy spots around the world for a couple of months. At each one. Yeah. But do you have to stay there for a couple of months? I'm quite one of these people that are just happy to stay there until I feel it's time to move, and if it's never, you feel it's never time to move, stay, what's holding you back?
Yeah.
So,
Many, many years ago, I took a train from Charleston, South Carolina to LA. It was a 4-day trip or so. And the way Amtrak works is you can hop on, hop off, and if you get off and you meet somebody in New Orleans and you want to stay there for a few days, you just hop back on whenever the train comes back through and you're ready. And there was two kids from Australia. They were probably in their early 20s, and they had come over to America, and they were doing a 45-day rail pass, I think. So that gave them access to all 4 of the main train lines. And they were able to hop on, hop off as much as they wanted for 45 days. And I think back then it was so dirt cheap. I think they paid under $300 for it. And I think it's still pretty inexpensive, but it's such a good way to see so much of the countryside without having a vehicle. And so I wonder if that's not, an option, doing something like that, where you don't, and it doesn't have to be 45 days. It could be 14 days. But I think that looking at it on a smaller scale and what's achievable gives you more of an opportunity to think of it as real instead of just a pipe dream.
Yeah. Great question. And thank you all for watching our answer on that one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to Rodney, I'm going to give you a little bit of a clues up. It's your turn at the end of the show to give a question at the end of the week. So I'm just giving you a bit of a clues up. That hasn't happened in the past. But the topic of conversation for this week is making big money moves. And Harmony said making money move, like big moves, and admitting what is really holding you back, like for real. So did you want to start the ball rolling there, Harmony? Tell us, go a little bit more depth into why you thought of this to talk on this episode, and what you want to say about it.
I think for me, it's kind of what I was just leading up to. I guess that could be kind of my theme for the show tonight, is that I'm triggered by people that hold people back because of the way I was held back. And I don't want to put all the blame on the people I was in partnership with or anything like that, because at the end of the day, I had an opportunity to make my own decision. But I am triggered by people who are stifling. And I'm triggered by people who project and say things like, I can't believe you're going to do that without me. Or why do you want to do that without me? Or there. So basically looking back on my life, all of the dreams that I had back then are the same dreams that I have now. But because of my mental state and my inability to stand up for myself, because I looked at relationship and having a partnership as the pinnacle, I thought that life wasn't doable by myself. I thought that I needed that sense of security, and I found that I don't need that. And at some point somebody's going to come into my life and they're going to value my sense of adventure. They're going to value my desire to experience the world, and they're not going to be jealous, and they're not going to be self-serving. But when I look back on that, it angers me how much of my adult life I was held back by other people's insecurities. So even my most recent breakup with my ex-husband, he attempted to hold me back, but as you guys know, I chose to leave that marriage. He attempted to, he questioned, specifically said to me, and this is a man with 2 grandchildren, said, why do you feel the need to leave a legacy? I'll never forget him asking me that question. And it's hard for me to relate to somebody who has children and grandchildren and doesn't understand the concept of a legacy. And that goes way deeper, because he's got stuff that he's got to deal with. And, I would never judge him. He's at a place where he is in his life, and I wish him the best on getting through that. But I just wasn't in a place in my life when that question was thrown at me to answer that question. I didn't deem it worthy of a fucking answer. And what's not my job to convince somebody to understand why my dreams matter to me the way that they do. I don't want to convince anybody else about why things are important to me. I want to offer somebody, the next person that becomes my partner, I want to offer them solid support in whatever it is that makes them light up. And I want that same thing in return. And I think when I look back on my life and I think of all of the time, I don't want to say it was wasted because it was my journey, but I chose to feed into the guilt trip that I was given by the majority of my partners because I was putting myself first. And I didn't have the courage to stand up for myself. So I think that I'll stick with that as far as my theories around this is I'm very upset at people that are fucking selfish and hold people back. I'm upset at at spouses that guilt trip their partners, men, women, it doesn't matter. Like, I just think it's such a fucking waste of time and it's so much drama that you don't realize it until you get a diagnosis and you've got 6 months to live, or you don't realize it until you're far away from that relationship because you finally had it up to here and you're like, fuck it, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. I can't live for you anymore. You know what I mean? And by that time, you can't get that time back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's a shame.
I kind of feel here now that I may have misled this question, to be honest with you, because when I read the question, it's making big money moves. I automatically assumed financial aspect of it, whereas you're talking not about financial, you're talking about, personal moves and stuff like that. Is that right?
Well, I think money moves are determined. That's why I put the definition in there. My term of money moves, which I do want to talk about the financial because I heard how excited Lee was. But for me specifically, what I was talking about was making money moves, like the Urban Dictionary version of that, which is just making big moves despite how scared it makes you, making big moves without the concern of how that's emotionally going to affect somebody else, not in a disrespectful way, but just like hands down, just putting yourself first. That to me is a money move. Like, that to me is, because it takes courage in this life. It took me up to 40 something years to get to a point where I was respectful of myself enough to stand up for myself. That's a long time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So what I meant by money moves, I mean, like, that one thing that lingers over your head every single fucking day that you just sweep under the rug every day and you keep moving forward because it's easier to do that.
Okay.
But the money move, there's also another version of that, the money moves and making big money moves and making investments and making, doing things that might not be, that might be outside of the box in order to offer you an opportunity to achieve some big success financially. So I'll leave my answer where it was because that's kind of where I was leaning, but I do want to hear the financial because that's an area that I'm not very fluent in, and I would like to be.
I was just going to say, I think now it's time to head over to that man there.
Yeah.
And just talk some money there then, Lee, because I know that you've been itching all day to talk about this, making big money moves. What, just go ahead. Tell us what you think, what you thought about this question.
Just to follow on to what Harmony said, I think it's subjective, and it's up for interpretation. And how do you receive that question? You can receive it in many different ways, and I guess it kind of says a lot about perhaps where you are in your life today. So for Harmony, she's answered that question with her interpretation. For me, it came across as something completely different, and I'm sure it might be the same for you other guys. But for me, making big money moves is everything goes back to education for me, and my experience and how I've lived my life and the mistakes I've made and how I never had self-awareness until 35. So I think maybe I'm not quite answering the question right, but what I would do is, if I could go back and do live my life again, or I would never tell anybody what to do, I would never advise anybody what to do. What I would simply do is give them different perspectives, give them the option to look at how they're going to live the rest of their life and what the outcome of their decisions are going to be. So for me, it's very heavily influenced by finances and money, and personal success or whatever that may mean to the individual person. So for me, I think we are crippled, we are stifled, we are hindered from the moment we go to school. We're not educated in finance. We're not educated in entrepreneurialism. We're not educated in how to create a destiny or a legacy, or how do we create these big influential ideas, whatever that may be, companies, businesses, influences in our culture. And the education system represents, for me, is it's almost like sorry, I hop from one thing to another, but the education system for me is like a hive mind, right? So you've got this central system that tells everybody else what to do, and it only serves the greater good of the hive. So we all become worker bees. We all become we do as we're told. We don't ask questions. We act on instruction, and we say nothing. When there's a culture of, if you ask for help in school, it's considered cheating. That to me is mind-boggling. But it also goes to, why do we hit 40, 50, 60 years old and realize, fuck, I've got no money in the bank. I have very little pension and I have no legacy that I can speak of. We have to, I personally am trying my best to influence my kids to make the best decisions that work for themselves. So I have conversations all the time with my 15-year-old. He's now got a paper round and he earns like 20 quid a week. No, actually, he earns like 35 quid a week, which is not a great deal, but when you first start out, that's amazing. And I say to him, look, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but think about the rest of your life, because now you can create something incredible. What could you do with your money to earn more money? When you're 16, if I was to do it all again, I would invest straight away. And I've proved to him that you can be a millionaire by 30 just from investing in the stock market. I've said to him, if I could go back, I would buy a house, stay living at home, buy a house as soon as I possibly can. By the time you're 20, you could have 10 houses and never have to work again. So to me, it's all this. It's literally finance for me. It's literally money. It's literally creating the self-awareness to, especially our young kids, but to yourself as well. What am I actually doing here? Because we all become, I kind of get lost in what I'm trying to say here, but my wife works in an old people's home, and I've been there a couple of times in the past, and I've spoken to a couple of people and asked them how their lives have been, and it almost brings me to tears to see the pain in their eyes when they regret the decisions that they didn't act on, whether it be a business idea, whether it be, a date, whether it be buying that ticket to go to Spain, whatever it may be. So I think what I'm really ultimately saying is, the opportunity to create a future that you really, really love and that you can create exponential success in is in your hands. Have the self-awareness to not just be a worker bee and do as you're told, don't ask questions, and get what is a job, right? Because if COVID's proved anything, there's no such thing as a safe job. Rely on yourself to create an income. Only bet on yourself, which is what Howard said earlier on. Because if you bet on yourself, you can't lose. And create a future that you really want, instead of, I always say, don't just exist, live. And I'm never going to tell people what to do, and I would never tell my kids what to do, but I am actively trying to influence them to create a future that they can be proud of.
Amen. That's beautiful.
I wish somebody would have that mindset when I was growing up. I wish
Yeah.
school would have taught that. I wish somebody would have said to me, put some money back. Even if it's $20 a fucking week, put some money back. Or I just didn't even occur to me.
But do you think that times have changed in the sense that when I was growing up and when I was doing my paper round, I mean, when I done my first paper and I was on $7.50 a week, and I had an afternoon paper round where I was on $5.50 a week, and a weekend paper round when I was on about £35 a week, but it was working 7 days a week, double in the evening and in the mornings, and all I wanted to spend my money on was a bit of pot and going out and getting pissed. I mean, things have changed, haven't they? Children aren't doing that so much. They're buying like computer games and they're trying to better themselves that way, or they've got gym membership. And I have noticed that. Is that right, Lee? Would you say?
I would agree and disagree. There's still this old money culture, parents and grandparents. Like, I speak to people now and I say I get into conversations and I ask them about investments and stuff, savings and stuff. And it's like, oh no, I don't invest. Oh, I don't put money into the stock market. I put my money into the bank. And I'm like, are you fucking crazy? And then I get into, and I get not drawn into an argument, but I have this passion to try to educate. I mean, I'm not saying I'm fucking right about everything, but I'm fucking doing something right because I get results in the conversations I have.
But
But I say to people,
sorry, man, I was going to say it's interesting that how many people do you speak to that tell you that you're wrong by putting money in the bank?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
all the time.
I say to people, like, why are you putting the money in the bank? Well, because it's safe. Is it though? Oh, because I say, I earn interest. It's like, what, 0.5% a year? Is that interest? Like, if you take into consideration, let's look at the I forget which one's which, macro, micro. I think it's macro.
Macro's big, micro's little.
Yes, macro. Let's look at the macro finances at the moment, right? The big environment. Inflation is an all-time high. The Fed are printing like 75% of all dollars in the last 2 years. You have got to be a fucking idiot to put your money in the bank. You have to put your money in if you want to earn money through investing. And Rodney can back me up on this, I'm sure. You have to get 10% a year return on investment to actually make some money. Unless you're beating inflation, which is at the moment 4.13% on average, you're actually losing buying power. So, for example, if I've got $1,000 in the bank, next year I have to have $1,000 plus 4.13%. And people just don't fucking get it. The financial education is non-existent. And these dickheads are going around putting money in the bank, paying off their mortgages early. And to me, with very little financial education that I've received, it's fucking ludicrous.
Well, that's the thing, is do they want it to be mainstream taught?
No, of course not.
Right.
Because it's not, they don't want us to benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have we have whole curriculums right here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%.
Thank God.
Education is being outsourced to YouTube.
Right. And if anybody's tuning in, this is not financial advice.
No.
But
no. Don't go selling your houses and listen to what we're saying, because we're no doctors, we're no lawyers, we're just five simpletons from around the world. Well, I am.
An idiot is a term of endearment in the UK. So when Lee calls you an idiot, he means that with all due respect and love. I mean, but I could. You're definitely losing money. Just letting it sit in a bank account, unless you have some kind of high returning particular account, CD or whatever. I don't know what the rates are. And the money that I have in the bank, the money we have in the bank as a business, is set aside for purchasing real estate. And that, for me, the next deal is what's, to answer the question, the next deal is what gets me to the money, because that creates the next deal, and that creates the next deal.
Even then, Rodney, let's say you've got $1 million in the bank. You want to be getting that deal quickly, because tomorrow that million is going to buy you less. Yeah,
no, I wouldn't. Yeah, the only way I could see myself having like $1 million in the bank is if I had like $50 million all over the other. I would need some kind of liquid, but I couldn't. Yeah, you're not when I see the bank statement and they tell you what you, I'm not going to talk numbers, but you would be amazed at how much money would get you, like 10 cents.
Yeah.
So you're not making money just leaving it and leaving it in a bank that's not returning high, or like you said, return on I'm losing my train of thought. But you're not, but I wouldn't, I think what happens is people are used to, just like everything, you can go down the line with things that's been handed down tradition, where people are not comfortable yet with the idea. Some people will you're never going to convince certain people that money in the bank. There's people that still keep cash, you know, um, under their mattress. I've heard stories, and I can't say I can't verify how true it was, but like there was a couple of people that like buried their money, and
I've
then
heard that.
when they went to go get it, it was like ruined. It was stuck together, and it was just
It's depressing.
because people don't trust banks, people don't trust the stock market. The stock market is volatile, but the reason why the people that have money get rich is because they're in it for the long haul. Where me with a little bit of money, we might get a little scared when the stock market crashes or when it goes down. We might be a little bit like, oh man, you know what? Let me sell this off because I need, but we're not thinking long term, but also the education. So I would say for me, the next deal is what's keeping me from the money, and the next deal and the next deal. And just a little bit of like a little bit of the finer things that that I don't know. I know overall what I'm doing real estate wise and what I'm doing investing, but there's sometimes I'll talk to somebody and I get lost in the conversation because they'll be using terms, or they'll be watching a particular stock for like a year before they actually, so those are the type of things that I would say for me that's keeping me from that, that retirement money. You know what I mean? Where you work if you want to, but if you don't want to, you don't have to, because your money is, that long.
Well, don't y'all think money's kind of like up there with, in the sense of shifting somebody perspective about it? It's like up there with religion, because if
Yes.
you've come down a family line that Papa said to do such and such, it's hard to get people. Of course, if you said to anybody, hey, do you want that money to last a long time? You want it to have a return on your investment? Most people are going to say, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But when you tell them what they got to do, that's outside of their comfort zone, and
Yeah.
they run from that shit. There's old timers around here, I guarantee you, right around me, that have money buried in the backyard. It wouldn't surprise me a bit.
And I'm trying to find it with my metal detector, people. That's my job.
What
But-
what
Go on,
surprises me is that Lee was talking about saving money, and then
Mhm.
I think Harmony was talking about she wished she would have knew earlier about saving money. I'm curious is the same people that are against investing money because they're afraid they might lose it, are those the same people that then would go out the same day and buy the 30th pair of expensive shoes,
Yeah.
another purse? And it's like, well, I mean, unless you're going to turn around and sell it, and to make a profit, which, hey, that's a good investment, turn around and sell something and make more money from it. Then, how is that helping your money go further? So I just,
It's so multi-level, the bad, stupid shit that we all do with money. I
Yep.
mean, it's me included. I mean, I'm just now getting at the very beginning, step one of learning how to do money properly.
Yeah.
And it's like Lee said, I just wasn't educated. It didn't even cross my mind.
mhm.
It is a great topic to bring up, because I mean, I'm in a situation, well, nearly, I'm in a situation where I'm lucky or unlucky, however way you want to look at it, that I've been left some money from my aunt who sadly passed away. And, it is, for me, life-changing money. And I'm in a situation now where I want to carry on my auntie's legacy. She worked hard to get that money, right? And she's left me some money. And you want to carry on that legacy, but at the same time, I am in a situation now where I've never been in my life. All my life, I've never had any money. Any money that I've had, I've pissed up against the wall, or I've been out and I've bought whatever I want to buy and had fun and all that lot. But I'm 45 now. I'm at a stage now where I want to use that money that from a legacy to create my own legacy. I want to be able to, you know, pay the mortgage off or invest it or whatnot. But at the same time, I'm having to really think about what I'm going to do with this money, because, you know, we listen to what people tell us, you know, and you know, all in the past, I've listened to what people have told me about money, but and I've said to myself that, you know, it's always the people with money that make money, and that is very, very true. But at the same time, it's also the people that take risks that make money, that lose money, and you've got to be in that situation where you think, right, do I take that risk? Or do I stay safe? Do I pay my mortgage off and stay safe? Or do I invest it, take a risk, take a gamble? And it is, when you're in that situation, you really, really do have to think hard. And
I guess that's where a financial advisor would come in, right? Like just finding one that you trust. No,
but half of these financial advisors, if they were that good financial advisor, they wouldn't be financially advising. They'd be.
I don't know. I know a couple personally, and they make a lick. I mean, they're making hundreds of $1,000s a year, you know, and they're one in particular is a friend of mine's cousin. They both work for Edward Jones, and I don't know anything about it. I don't have a financial advisor, but it just seems like some sort of help. I guess you said YouTube. There's a lot of people on YouTube that can offer you free education, but it seems like, yes, if I had a pile of money land in my lap, I'd be stressed too, because I wouldn't know what the hell to do with it.
Well, I mean, the first thing I saw was like, right, pay your mortgage off. That's the first thing that people tell you: pay your mortgage off, because there's so much money. There's so much money that you make from property. Complete, you know, the boom's going to go or whatnot, and we're going to, you know, yeah, and you're going to lose everything. Do you know what I mean? Your house that's worth 200,000 is now going to be worth 30,000. You don't know that. How many times have you said, "Oh, I'm investing in Bitcoin," and people have said to you, "Oh my God, Bitcoin's terrible. It's a risk. It's a gamble." But putting your money in a bank account's a gamble, because that could all go tits up. You know, I mean, you have to make decisions for yourself. You have to do your research yourself. And I'm really, really looking forward to what's going to go ahead.
Buy another house.
Well, at the moment, I mean, I've been looking at the money that I'm getting. Will I make more money from having that in the bank and making interest on it, or will I make more or invest in it and getting interest from it, or will I make more money from paying off my mortgage and not having to pay the interest on my mortgage?
So again, I don't tell anybody what to do, but what I would do, I think it's crazy people paying off their mortgage early, because like it doesn't make any sense. Like I guess it's, what is your mentality? What's your risk? You know, what sort of risk are you happy to take? Like you see somebody like Robert Kiyosaki. Everybody know who that guy is? He's hundreds and hundreds of $1 million in debt.
Rich Dad,
right?
Poor Dad.
Yes. Hundreds and hundreds of $1 million in debt. Yet he's got assets that far and exceed that. And he uses the debt to buy the asset to offset his tax bill. Like, it's not fucking rocket science, but there is a certain amount of complexity to understand how the system works. So if I came across 100 grand, let's say, right, I could pay my mortgage off, but where's the benefit? I'm paying my mortgage anyway. What I would do is make my mortgage payment as small as it possibly could be. Because look, at the end of the day, I'm going to fucking die, right? And my insurance will pay the mortgage off. So what's the fucking point? And I would buy as many houses as I possibly can with that money. After however long it is, I would then refinance those houses to buy more. Like, what is a better legacy? Paying off your mortgage early so you get another couple of £100 a month, or owning 15, 20 houses before you die.
It's like
and then you can
It's
hand
like
it all off to your
Monopoly.
kids.
I love
Exactly.
that.
But again, like people do whatever you want to do, right? But if you want a legacy, there's a difference between creating a legacy that actually means something and you can hand it to your kids. There's a difference between that and paying your mortgage off early and being able to afford to go to fucking Butlins twice a year.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this is what I'm looking at the moment. Is I'm going to pay pretty much all of the mortgage off. This is what I'm contemplating doing, paying pretty much majority of my mortgage off, having some money in having some money in my account that I can invest, right, to make some money. But the reason why I want to do this is so that I'm in a situation where I have got some freedom, in the sense that if I want to go part-time, I can. If Nikki wants to go part-time, she can. And at least I've left a legacy behind for my children. There's a house here that's paid off. There's something there for my children. There's a legacy for them, because, that's just what I'm thinking of doing at the moment. And I think like we were saying, it all depends on your own circumstances. Harmony's circumstances will be different to what mine will, and yours will be different to what Rodney's is, and Howard's, and that. And it's just working together in your own little micro groups as a family, and working out what's best for your family. Are you prepared to take the risk and invest all the money? Because people like Elon Musk and all these people, and that guy that you was talking about there, the people that make money in life are the people that take the risks on. These are the people that invest loads of money.
And then if that's being said, then why are you going to pay your mortgage off? Or why are you thinking about paying your mortgage off? Because that's not a risk.
Because I'm one of these people that have never been prepared to take the risk. I'm quite happy.
But if you'd have the security, your house would be paid off, and you would then go part-time. So then you're kind of still in the same situation you're in right now.
Yep.
But this
is the false sense of security.
That is, and you're 100% right. But the thing is, I'm trying to continue the legacy that's been left before me, and use the same ways as before me,
which don't work.
But
so why not buy
another house
and put somebody in it, and they can pay both your fucking mortgages?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then both your kids have got a house each. More of a legacy. Well,
that is what me and Nikki are looking at doing, because the thing is, I know it's a horrible way of looking at things, right? But sadly, people leave us, and money gets passed on to us. And I'm looking down the line. Me and Nikki want to pay this mortgage off. We're not going to pay it all off, right? We're going to pay a majority of it off and keep a little bit of money in investment, but
in the bank.
No, not in the bank. Not in the bank.
He don't want you to jump on his head.
No, but what I'm getting at is in the next 5 years, be totally mortgage free, and then have money to invest in other things. And, and sadly, when other people leave, that's more money that you can invest on other things, and possibly, another house to invest. So, Rome wasn't built in a day. And
the thing that you've got on your side, and this is for me, if I was given a lump sum of money, knowing what I know now, I would definitely invest in property, because that is going to pay off longer as far as making an income. Do you know what I mean? Yep. So like your ultimate issue is the being a postie, and the way that's infringing on, so many things, just like most people's jobs. It sucks. But to put yourself in a situation where you're like, yeah, we'll pay off the mortgage, and then if she wants to go part-time, or I want to go part-time, then we can do that. But what is that doing?
It's freedom. That's what.
But is it? But is it free? That's what I'm saying. Is it freedom?
It is
relative freedom.
Because I can make the decision that if I want to do something different, or want to go away, or take any risks, I can do that. What I can't do at the moment, if that makes any sense.
And if you bought it, used that money to purchase a piece of property, and you put a tenant in that, a family in that, and then that was a second income. That's hard, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
I do. But the thing is, what I'm getting at is Rome wasn't built in a day. So my first priority is paying as much as I can off of my mortgage, not completely, like Lee said, right? Pay as much off as you possibly can, so that you've got extra money to play with each month, which gives you more financial freedom. Mm-hmm. So that financial freedom, then so rather than £800 a month you're paying on your mortgage, you're only paying £200. As long as you invest that £600 a month in something else.
Yeah, that's the big kicker, right, Lee?
Yeah.
When you've got that extra money, what are you going to do with it? That's scary.
So you've just not got to be selfish like I have in the past, and pissed up against the wall, or bought a new car, or bought that. Think of it. Pay. I'm intending on paying a chunk of my mortgage off. The money that I'm saving, investing it in somewhere else, so that later on down the line, I have got a deposit to put down for another property or
I'm
a big
curious,
investment.
going around the panel, like each of you, if you had a lump sum of money given to you right now, what would you do with it?
I'm in real estate, so I'm
Yeah, you're going
I'm
real
gonna-
estate. Lee,
yeah, I'm
we
gonna
know what Lee would do. Real estate?
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm
Howard?
already in it, so I'm gonna continue to do it.
Develop more supplements.
I was going to say because Howard's in a situation where he has taken that risk. You know, he has had some money and he has taken a risk.
Can we approach this from a different perspective, rather than we're thinking about paying off mortgages and what have you? It's all about cash flow, positive cash flow. So what could you do with that payment, with that inheritance, that would create positive cash flow rather than paying off mortgages?
I love that question. God, I love that question.
It has to be something you could create that's going to be either passive or you're going to be, you know, in the stock market where you can, you know, you can make splash.
Yeah, but-
Even Robert Kiyosaki brought up, you know, in Rich Dad Poor Dad, the assets versus the liabilities. And he was big on like their home is a liability, it's not an asset.
100%.
And so it's like if you're doing what you were saying, Lee, even though his house now is a liability, but yet he's using the money to get other real estate that then, as Harmony said, it pays off his liability. You know, just
Yeah, there's
literally
this
kind of passive income.
misconception. Every fucking idiot and his dog wants to buy a house in England because that's their asset. No, it's not. It's costing you money every month. So think about it from a different perspective. All right, if you're going to take on a liability, minimize that liability as much as you possibly can, right? So get like an interest-only mortgage. So for a £200,000 house, rather than paying a repayment mortgage at £900, you could probably get the same house for £350 a month. It's interest only. You're only paying the interest. You're minimizing that liability, and you're putting that extra cash into an asset that's going to give you continuous, lifelong money every single fucking month.
It's basically a bank. You know, you're basically making other banks where you can go and you know, you don't physically have to go draw money out. The money's just going to be,
God, that would be awesome.
going
That'd be
into
so
your
awesome.
Use debt. There's this fear about debt. Oh my God, it's debt. No, man. It's up here.
That's right.
Use that debt to create assets that serve you.
It's just an interesting conversation that fell quite nicely for me this week in the set, because it's like, you know, it's very, very rare that you do get handed some money, and we can all talk about, I would do this and I would do that. But once that situation arises, and it will happen to every one of us, what do you do with it? And you know, we all say, oh, I would do this and I would do that. But once you're put in that situation, it's just like, shit, you know, what would I do? Would I just go away and blow it all on a world cruise? Or would I, you know, everybody's different, and there is no right and no wrong answer. Everybody needs to think of it as an individual and work out what is best for you at your time in your life. Are you going to invest it? Are you going to save it? Are you going to piss it up against the wall? It's a really, really, really good topic and very, very interesting. It's just nice to be able to get to that situation, you know?
You've got kids.
I know a guy who's in a situation. I know a guy who's in a situation where his I think it's his auntie who's going to give the house to, you know, when she dies, it's going to be given to the two lads, her two nephews. And I've spoken to this guy. He's a good friend of mine, and he said, when that happens, he's not emotional about it. He's like, yeah, all right, his auntie's going to die and blah, blah, blah. It's going to be sad. But you need to take away emotion away from finance, because the moment you put emotion in finance, you're fucked. So he said, when that moment comes, he's going to remortgage his house to buy his brother out and own the house wholly. He's then going to rent that out and use that in 12 months, 2 years' time when he remortgages, because obviously the house prices generally will go up. He will then remortgage that money, pull all his money back out, and buy another fucking house.
Yeah. And that's great. And that's what I was thinking about doing with my mum's property, if and when the day should happen, like, you know, when it does happen. The problem is going back in a complete circle to the last question that we was talking about, is having other people in your life and not being selfish, you know, because it's not when you're in a relationship, when you're in a marriage, it's not just you, it's the other person. And is your other person happy and willing enough to take on the risk with you?
They don't need to.
They do, don't they? Because if you got what they do, because you're dragging another person in.
No.
If it all goes tits up, and you lose everything, it's not just you that's losing everything, is it?
I disagree, because there's ways and means around it.
Oh yeah.
Like it's one big. You're playing a tax game. As long as you understand the tax rules, you play within those rules. I can create a company with or without Kerry's consent, and I can do whatever and create this fucking, multi-million-dollar real estate business that affects her in no way, but she actually reaps the benefits.
Yeah. You could.
There's ways around it.
You could, but how would she feel if you actually did that? If you actually did that, how would she feel? Because it's not just as easy. It's going back to the whole thing that I was saying about if you have the money and having the money is two totally different things, isn't it?
How could you feel bad though? Like if I turned up in a year's time and said, right, we've got 3 houses now.
If I know, and I totally agree 100% with what you're saying, but you've got another person in your life, and if you just went behind their back and you done that,
oh no, I wouldn't go behind their back. I wouldn't go behind their back. I would tell them what I'm doing. Whether they agree or not, I would do it, but at least they have the information. Like, if you look, people aren't like us. My wife is nothing like me. She pays off the mortgage, 50 quid a month, and it drives me nuts. She puts money in the bank, it drives me fucking nuts. She's nothing like me. But if I came, if let's say my nan died and I got 50 grand, I would use that to create a legacy for my family.
Would you get in trouble if she said, I want some of that 50 grand?
No, she would. No, because we're on the same page. It's not about us. It's about our kids.
That's
it's about
awesome.
the legacy.
That's the key right there. You've got a partner. You've got a partner that's in it.
In the same breath, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, providing for the kids, paying the bills, blah, 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 why the fuck should you not create a legacy that everybody benefits?
Word up to Lou. She said relationships can be, and most of the time are, temporary. So money plans have to be thought about, should be the worst case. Am I reading that right? I'd make plans excluding my partner. Yeah.
Like this conversation has taken us all the way back to the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah.
Isn't that so funny? It sure is.
My decisions is not about everybody else. It's about me.
Good point, Lou.
What the fuck do I want, and what do I want to create in my life?
And that's why this conversation's been totally awesome, because, again, everybody are individual. Everybody's got different partners. Everybody's got different beliefs. Everybody's in a different situation in life. And hopefully this podcast, people, will make you think, because it's made me think, and I'm thinking all of the time. And it's not an easy question. It's not an easy questions that we've had to answer this week. And I
did want to say this, Mark, because you had mentioned it's so interesting how these things coupled up with one another. It was so cool how that happened. But you were mentioning, everybody was kind of mentioning taking a risk with money. And in order to make money, sometimes you have to take a risk. Most of the time you have to take a risk. And that would apply to partnerships too. You have to kind of go into it knowing that there's a chance the shit's going to hit the fan and you're going to have to explain yourself, or you're going to get into a fight or something. But it's so crazy navigating all this shit. And I love that we've talked about it, because there's so many people going through this. Most people are partnered.
One thing I have noticed is that this news that I've had recently has made me and Nikki stronger, because the bond has been, and we're working together more as a team, thinking about it. A year, 2 years ago, it would have been me thinking, right, what am I going to do with my money?
That's awesome.
And now it's not. It's a case of, what are we going to do with the money? How are we going to, what is going to be the best way? And I will be going upstairs in a minute and talking to her about what Lee's just said, because it makes sense, and, we are working as a team more. And I think, there's too many people in the world, and we've talked about this, there's too many people that leave relationships too easy. You've got to work out whether you're going to stick at it or if you're not going to stick at it. And, sadly in the UK, the divorce rates, and I don't know what it's like over in the States, but the divorce rates in the UK are massive. are massive. And we've talked about this in the past that, you know, with my hobbies, I jump from one thing to another, to another, to another. Is it right to jump from relationship to another until you find the right person? Or are we not giving it a little bit more of an effort, a little bit more of a chance to work things out? It's a two-edged sword, isn't it?
And that could be a whole topic for another podcast. Marriage is super fucking antiquated.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
people this generation aren't even getting married anymore. So, I mean, as much as I honor marriage and I'm very romantic and I believe in love, but you know, as a 47-year-old woman, I look at it differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I get the fight. There's some beauty and there's some historical beauty in the fight for a relationship, but that's again all relative. How much you're going to fight?
Yeah. Yeah. Rodney, have you thought about a question to end this podcast?
Yeah, you know, we were pontificating about
That's a good
this and
word.
that,
Nice.
about this and that, and you know, I was just trying to figure out like what would be maybe fun and interesting, and I racked my brain, and you guys follow me on this. If you were a building, what kind of
Been there,
No,
done that.
That is the best question ever. Man.
I feel like I've heard that somewhere before.
Now I wanted to do it's not one particular question. I wanted for us to chime in on some childhood memories.
Oh,
so I
nice.
want to know some fun childhood memories. You know,
That's
have a little
awesome.
fun. You know, if there's I won't even. I'll
Can,
just say
can we go down with a pro and a con childhood memory? You know, a good and a bad.
No. This is
You're trying to take over Rodney's question.
Yeah, you cut me
Sure.
off one day. You shut me up when I was talking.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Yeah,
Rodney's question.
I'll tell you what I'll do.
Don't hit the end, but hold on. I got to read Lou's question. She's a committed listener. So think about it. Think about, would you be happy to hand over to your partner should you split or divorce? My solicitor asked me that when I inherited money. Would you be happy to hand your money over to your partner? Full stop.
You would be happy.
Wasn't there a question that we skipped over last week that we didn't?
Yes, there was. Rodney, didn't somebody get in contact with you?
Thank you, Lou, and thank you everybody for
Thank
your
you,
comments.
A
everybody.
question? No. Actually, it was nonconformist who was actually in here.
Oh, is she still here? I think she's still here. We've got 7 people the whole time. I think she's still here.
Yes, nonconformist.
Yeah, Lee loves that name, by the way.
Yeah, never conform to
The opposite of courage is not, or what was it? It's not weakness, it's conformity or something like that.
Damn straight, motherfuckers.
So this is just a comment. You know, we appreciate the comments because as we grow, we want to encourage people to either email, text, or DM or whatever, or even leave the comments after the show. You have the comment section, and definitely while you're in here, we want you to comment.
Mm-hmm.
But so I called out from work today and was able to catch you all live. However, I was driving and I wish I could have commented. I love the topic. I also found myself doing a self-assessment of my personality as to whether I'm an introvert or extrovert. It is true that growing up does change a person. I'm starting to think that labels doesn't really define who we are because we are constantly evolving, as we should. I do have a sister circle, but we don't meet as often. I dig what you all have going. So that was the week that we talked about. We talked about introvert and extrovert, and also too, it was a kudos for us for doing this because we've told people that we've been doing this for like 2.5 years behind the scenes, and so that was just a little thumbs up to us, and to me reaffirmation that we're onto something.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. That's very sweet to take the time to write that. And if you want to be engaged and maybe come on my show and talk more about the conformity thing or the anti-conformity thing, please find me. I'm at the Bliss Broker on Instagram. I would love to meet you.
Sweet. So something to think about next week's show as well, talking about childhood memories. That's going to be awesome. We're really looking forward to that.
That'll be fun.
We're at 1 hour 24. Hasn't that time gone quick?
Yeah.
I'm going to shut the shop here now Thank you all very much for commenting. The people that commented here on YouTube, thank you so much for that. If you're listening to us on the podcast, through your earbuds, thank you so much for listening. Please send in some comments and some questions to official 5 Deep on Insta, or get onto our email page, which is official5deep@gmail.com. And it's been a great episode, and thank you very much for all of your interaction that you've given us.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
I think that's about it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go out of the room. I'm going to get all my stuff together, and I'm going to get ready to go to Buttlands with Kenny. So stay safe, stay classy.
Enjoy the butts.
And I'll
Enjoy
tell you
the
about it
asses.
next week.
Ask this chapter,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.